Hey Leslie, how you doing? I've got your work up. Let's go and take a look. Here we go, right here. Here it is. All right. Okay, so a few things. I think we have, in terms of the composition itself, I think there's a little bit of disconnect here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about. So right now in the composition, I'm seeing five separate elements as opposed to a composition that's synergistically holding five elements. So basically, I'm seeing separate elements in this composition as opposed to a compositional whole. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I see a wine glass, I see a paint palette with brushes, I see and three words: sip and paint. Okay, but the way they're assembled is that there's not really a real message going on here because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of communicative connection between all of the elements on this page. So, for example, typographically, you have sip. This is called proximity. It's where you place the typography. So this sip and paint is so far from each other in the composition that they don't really appear to be connected. So there's no connection. If there's no connection in the typography, then the viewer automatically assumes there's no real connection to the imagery as well. So my recommendation is to set your typography more closely in proximity so that it's just sip and paint, not sip and paint. Do you see what I'm saying? So once the viewer makes that connection between sip and paint, then the illustrations will make a lot more sense. So another thing I want to mention about the typography is that this typeface right here, now this is wine. This is a wine glass, so presumably this is geared towards adults, right? But this typeface right here is very, very much geared towards children. So a little bit of disconnect in concept there. As far as the illustrations themselves go, you know what, I also want to mention this stacking type. Stacking type never works, ever. If you want to set type on the vertical, then just set it up traditionally on the horizontal baseline and then rotate the baseline. I don't think we need it in this piece. I would definitely not stack this type though. And don't forget the type requirements in the project. So you want to review those type requirements. Looks like I got, okay, so now as far as the illustrations themselves go, I would recommend that you get out on the web. Now, after week 1 and week 2, you've learned a lot of techniques in Illustrator, right? So presumably you're pretty much showing proficiency in understanding those techniques. The reason I say this is because if you have been paying attention and taking the tutorials and the resources in the class, you should very well be able to follow a tutorial at this point. So my recommendation is to go out on the web and do a web search on how to illustrate a wine glass in Adobe Illustrator. Then do another, how to illustrate paint brushes in Adobe Illustrator, how to illustrate an artist's paint palette in Adobe Illustrator. Now, but I am not by any stretch recommending that you go out and copy styles or copy compositions. That is not the intent of visual research. Visual research is so that we get out there and we have an idea of what other illustrators are doing in their illustrative efforts in wine glass, paintbrush, etc. Right? So we're not copying, we're just doing visual research. So let me show you what I mean real quick. I'm just going to do a real quick little search here, and I'm just going to say illustrate wine glass Adobe Illustrator. Now watch what happens. You're going to get some really cool, here's some video tutorials right there. And if we just go over to images, you'll see a ton. And these all link out to resources that are all tutorials. So we can see there's some really, really super engaging and very, very compelling techniques going on here. So I recommend that you go ahead and do that. Then don't stop there. Go ahead and do the same thing. Only this time in your search parameters, use artist paintbrush and artist paint palette. And at that point, I think you're going to get a really good idea of some really super engaging ways to present your work. Okay, now I know I've thrown a lot at you here, Kimberly. If you want to, you know what? So I've already graded this week, so that's done. So we have one more checkpoint before your final submission due next week. So if you have any questions between now and then, please let me know. You don't even have to wait till critique. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email or let me know. You know, pretty good about getting right back to students. So you won't be waiting for me for a response. All right. So that leaves us, Leslie, let me, yeah, that's, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is if you have any questions at all, just let me know. I'm just a click away. I'll be glad to address any questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, or anything that I've said in the last 5 minutes in this video. Sound good, Leslie? All right. Great start. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much.